Hey, so let's talk about something actually cool.
Okay.
Fire Pro World just had its big event. Well, 100 people, but it was packed. In I think it was called The Lot, actually. In I don't know where in Japan. But Fire Pro Wrestling, more so than what's important about what was announced there is, I think, just a brief recap of Fire Pro Wrestling and why Fire Pro World is so important.
Why Fire Pro rules, too.
And why we can, why it's worth detailing this. So Fire Pro Wrestling is a wrestling series that started on the PC Engine, but actually has its roots in the video game that Pat sucks at, Pro Wrestling on the NES. The one game that I can beat Pat at consistently.
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 Yeah.
Yeah, I've lost once.
Someone didn't show up the last marathon to defend their belt, by the way.
Yeah.
Forfeiture. 30 days not defending the title.
Anyways, Fire Pro, especially once it entered the Super Nintendo era, it became very important because it had an extremely robust character creation system.
Not just that, it was the closest to a real simulator on a console.
You have to work from your weak moves to your medium moves to your strong moves. Crowd reaction is important. If you get the crowd on your side early and you get momentum going, you can end the match a lot quicker than you can if the crowd is not on your side. So if you hit your finisher, you know, when the momentum is not going for you, it's less likely to end in a pin than when the crowd is on your side. There's actually a breathe button, and it's not, you know, as obtrusive as people think, but you will wear yourself out using moves.
Sure.
You need to make the strategic decision after a big move. Am I going to go for the pin? Am I going to lift him?
Hold.
Am I going to do a wrestle? Am I going to submit? Am I going to attack him on the ground? Or am I going to back off? And am I going to breathe a little bit?
So it's the closest video game to that point where it actually looked like a real wrestling match you'd watch on TV.
And it really does.
Ebbs and flows.
And it's all 2D graphics.
Sprite-based, yes.
Yeah, it's sprite-based. And connecting your large contact moves is hard, which is something that people don't like about it. Fire Pro's interesting because once it really hit its kind of modern-day timing standard and gameplay standard with Six-Man Scramble, which was on the Saturn, and G on the PlayStation, the engine has been fairly reluctant to change. It's because fans got very into what they considered almost a perfect engine. As D, Z, and R were released, as well as the Game Boy.
Don't skip Six-Man Scramble on Saturn.
Talked about Six-Man Scramble at the start.
Damn it. Okay.
Pay attention to me. Jesus. You know, it got more and more solidified. So the gameplay never really changes. And the gameplay is not going to change much in World. There are minor additions that are going to be very cool, though. So it's a big sim, and its Create a Wrestler mode is almost and arguably deeper than any wrestling game out there.
Well, the Create a Wrestler mode is interesting because it's still doing stuff that other series haven't caught up on even all these years later.
Right.
Not just, obviously, you select the moves and how your wrestler looks. Yes, we know that every Create a Wrestler has that. But then you get into the logic of the CPU. And that's deeper than... And they started doing that in the early 90s with Premium, right?
I believe so, yes.
X Premium on Super Famicom, where you can really, if you really get down to the nitty gritty, you can really program the wrestler to do the moves and to do even the taunts in proportion to how he would like in real life on TV, your wrestler.
By the time you get to R, you can determine percentage chance of weak, medium, and strong moves for lower attacks when a person's face down on the ground, face up on the ground, upper attacks, how often they are
turnbuckle,
how
outside the ring,
when they are at a certain level of you know, at a certain distance in the game, how likely they are to use a specialty move, and then how likely they are to follow it up with a finisher.
And you select 4 specialty moves for your character, and
3 specialty and a finisher. And what it gets down to is, Fire Pro is amazing because it's incredibly fun to play, but it's one of those games where if you make an edit or download an edit of a wrestler that has a logic set that has been finely tuned, it's legitimately fun to watch CPU versus CPU matches because the wrestlers will act just how they do in real life. They will fuck up how they do in real life. They will follow up how they do in real life. They will do their taunts how they do in real life, followed by specialties, followed by this, that, and the next.
And we're not even touching on everything. And it's so deep.
I mean, not even.
Your wrestlers have different characteristics. You can put like if you bleed, some get stronger. Comeback moves where if it looks like they're beaten down, they'll get a second wind and come back. So it's all based on Japanese wrestling and stuff you see, but they thought of all this stuff decades before other companies did, and now then it was funny because it took them longer to catch up with stuff like custom belt creation, you know, and things like that, and custom ring creation. That was the stuff they were behind on, but that's actually easier to implement into your game.
Right, and most people didn't give a shit about it. I mean, for instance, Fire Pro World, one of the things everyone's so excited about is we can now crawl towards the ropes when we're in submissions.
Yeah. It's little, but, you know, so you can reach around and get a rope break.
Right. And, I mean, we're all excited about that, but to us, that's a little addition because every other part of the game has been so great. There's going to be strike exchanges now, which happen at random, and, you know, they're going to have the same sort of timing. But that's going to be interesting. That's the other thing about Fire Pro. Fire Pro is very technical. Everything is based on a very strict timing. Button mashing will not get you anywhere in Fire Pro Wrestling.
You have to learn how to play this game.
If you button mash, the game will automatically penalize you with a loss.
Sure.
You have to get the timing down.
So in terms of, I guess the what is it, the early access, they're going to have normal matches, like steel cage.
They're going to have basically all of the matches.
Electric current blast match, which is like the electrified steel cage.
That's always, that's been in there for a long time.
The landmine one, which I think is barbed wire around the edge.
And if you throw them outside, they blow up.
A battle royale, which is the same thing as Royal Rumble, and now Ian said before they had it, but
no one runs in.
But I think now they're going to add that finally.
Okay.
Basically, a Royal Rumble is a timed battle royale where people run in everyone. And mixed martial arts rule, which they had going back to 6-man scramble.
They did eliminate one mode that I never really used, but I don't remember it. There will be the UFC cage, I believe, and then
except it's on an octagon. It's 6-sided, I believe, or 8 or 12, or it's different than the octagon.
Sure.
Yeah.
A legit cage. There's deathmatch, which has
there's weapons.
There's always weapons. There's the deathmatch, which has been around for a while, which sets up boards in the corner with either barbed wire or light poles on it, and you can pick them off or throw people into them.
Is that the part of the landmine one?
No, landmine is.
There's so many different
landmine. Well, actually. No, I don't think it is.
There's a lot of options.
Or maybe it is. Yeah, there's shitloads of options.
This is used. Fire Pro is used for a lot of like the leagues that people like go in themselves and they simulate. They create their own wrestlers. They write their own promos and they simulate matches.
It is the league wrestling game.
So there's a lot of fun to be had. Obviously, just creating it. But what's important about this game coming to what is it? Is it PS4 and PC? Is that online play.
Yes,
is fucking huge.
It's never been in the game before.
And also then sharing more easily sharing your wrestlers online.
Easy sharing of wrestlers.
And rings and whatever else.
The Steam version is going to be huge for the modding community. I'm going to get it for both systems.
I mean, not PS4, but PC would make the most sense to me.
I have to support the game coming to the US. I'll buy both versions. Sure. Just like I bought the import version of R. I bought my own version of R when it came to the US. I bought you a version of R that I still have. I don't know why I still have it in my possession.
I said I give it to you to borrow it, to play it.
Yeah, because I think I accidentally lost my version of R.
Okay, well, give back to me then.
But I still have yours. But it's going to be very cool. The thing is here's the thing.
Here's the thing, Ian.
It's a very difficult game to learn. So when I got all excited about there being a tutorial included in the final version, I retweeted it, and people are like, "Well, isn't that standard?" I'm like, "You don't understand. Like, there's been 2 GBA versions, which are good but limited because of the button amounts on the controller, and 1 US console version released, which is R. And yeah, you get the manual, but trying to explain to people how to play Fire Pro is a pain. The hardcore people who want to learn how to play, like me and my buddy Jay, who I used to play with all the time back in Buffalo, we'd get together once a week and play Fire Pro for like 3 fucking hours with friends. You know, we had already printed out 80-page documents that had full translations of how to play everything, you know, all the translations of moves and lists and how to make edits.
Oh, yeah, I printed a big thing for 6-Man Scramble.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like that. Yeah. You hole punch it and put it in a fucking binder. But this will help people, I think, get into one of the deepest wrestling games that's out there.
And it's important, again, to have this online because unlike past Fire Pros, even go back to the Super Nintendo one where there's like 100 different wrestlers, and this one only has, I believe, something 30 ones that are pre-made.
We're going to miss out on, unfortunately, one of the best Fire Pro traditions, which is the fake names. So Fire Pro used to always put real wrestlers in the game.
Well, R changed it a little bit. They kind of changed how they looked a little bit, didn't they? More so.
I mean, in all the games they kind of did, but R went, especially for the US version, a little bit more out of their way, where you had to change like a hairstyle to the right or the left and edit.
So you have to change it back. Yeah, so Hulk Hogan's in there, but you have to do a little bit of work.
But the names are so funny. Like Hulk Hogan was Axe Duggan. You know, a play on the Axe Bomber or Axe.
But the movesets were all the same, and the logic.
The movesets were right, and the logic was right. The names were different, so you had to rename them. Sometimes the costumes might be wrong. Or my favorite was like X-Pac was 1, 2, 3 of Blitz X, or 1, 2, 3 of shit. 1, 2, 3 of Blitz X Kid or something like that.
The whole point, it was a special series because you had wrestlers from all over the world, and that was the only game series where you got that, where they pulled off having U.S. wrestlers from WCW, WE, ECW, and then you got all the 4 or 5 Japanese promotions, All Japan Pro Wrestling, New Japan. I don't know, Michinoku Pro when it was around. I don't know if it's still even around. Noah. You know, if that was even around in the 90s. You know, you had all those.
Well, 2000s was when Noah came in after All Japan.
But you see my point.
Yeah, or split off.
You had all these. Then you had UFC guys. You had Bas Rutten. You know,
you had fucking. I mean, by the time R came out, you had DDT wrestlers. You had Toryumon wrestlers, or you had at that point Dragon Gate wrestlers.
Yeah.
You had a whole list of indies.
So within a week of this game coming out, you're gonna have a file you'll be able to download and get like all the wrestlers in the world, basically, because on a PC there shouldn't be a limited amount of slots, you know, and you're going to have all the rings. You're going to be set. So don't let that deter you from buying the game. You're going to be set.
I think this is what's going to happen. So it's going to launch early access and probably retail with the 30, right?
Okay.
Early access people like you, Dr. Phil Parent, who I talk to a lot on Twitter, my friend Jay, who goes by abbreviated Buffalo J on YouTube, who does some stuff for Dragon Gate.
Sure.
You know, we're all going to crack that game open and start making edits.
Sure.
And by the time the full release game comes out with full online functionality, not just one-on-one, by the time the people who buy the full game, yeah, they're going to have a paltry roster of 30 no-name edits.
Generics, yeah.
And then they're going to be able to go online, and they're immediately going to be able to have 400 wrestlers.
Yes.
The immediate
too many.
The first 400 wrestlers they think of, they are going to have perfect edits.
You're going to be able to go and find Okada, the champion of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and then also have Big Boss Man go against him. Like, immediately. And speaking of Okada, the 3... there's going
to be 100 new moves, but the 3 they've been focusing on have been the Sister Abigail, the Rainmaker, and I can't remember the other one.
But it's funny to get the generic names. So the generic names of the 3 moves are the... Let's see, what are they? It's like the turnaround, short arm lariat. The pole
neckbreaker.
Turn around short range lariat, which is the Rainmaker, which is Okada, who's one of the best wrestlers in the world. He's the champion in New Japan. The pole shift flosion, which is like basically one of those side pile driver moves, and then the twist style pull down face buster, which is Sister Abigail that Bray Wyatt uses. But you said 100 new moves? I didn't see that. That's nuts.
That's not.
That's insane.
It's not. That's my big concern. Is it's been
10 years,
over 10 years.
Okay.
It's been 12 if you count the Japanese release date.
Okay,
which you should. It's been 12 years. There's only 100 new moves, and my buddy Jay was actually at that event and was where a lot of the current information about the game came from, because he live tweeted it, and then the Fire Pro clubs picked it up and started to retweet it. A lot of the DDT wrestlers were worryingly using Fire Pro R era substitute moves for their finishers.
Okay.
Still. So what we're going to need to see is either those moves aren't done yet, which is possible.
Okay.
Or we're going to need to start seeing DLC packs of moves pretty quick.
I think that's the good news about this.
Yes, because especially on PC.
Yes.
Because it's going to be infinitely updatable, and depending on how much Steam Workshop integration there is, especially if they release a move editor, we may not have to worry about this too much.
Or a mod that'll be able to put in new moves. You know
That's what I'm saying. A move editor.
But I mean, but even an unofficial one.
Sure.
People can create their own moves, because just animate themselves.
That's the characters are jointed, and you can probably put that stuff together pretty.
That's the one. That's the one downfall of not having 3D models. Where yes, you can easily go into SmackDown versus Raw and create your own moves, because versus having it have to be drawn specifically of an opponent, and you know what I mean. Like, it's a little bit different. I'm excited. Even 100 new moves, and again, I'll fucking DLC all day. If you want to sell me 150 new moves for $5 a year from now, that would be reasonable to me. You know what I mean? That'd be fine. But they can keep it going. The point is that if we don't get a new Fire Pro game for another 10 years, they can keep it going through DLC.
This is okay.
This can sustain it. And then, hell, I want a single-player mode. And if they don't have one ready to go off the gate, maybe eventually they'll put one in. They
probably won't. But I think
or some sort of story mode.
I think it hasn't been really talked about, but I think that's the importance of Fire Pro fans getting into the early access early, is because we need to tell Spike Chunsoft what we want to see in the game.
Sure.
They're appealing to us, and I would kill for a Fire Pro G style story mode again. We haven't had one since Fire Pro G.
Oh yeah, where the faces come up and you talk and you make decisions.
Yeah, and you start off green in a gym and work your way getting picked by like a major fed.
And I'd be happy with that, and that'd be easy to implement. A choose your own adventure, multiple choice sort of thing, and different wrestlers' faces come and talk.
Just give me the fucking G one again. I mean, it wasn't complicated, but do it. It was great.
Well, I couldn't read it, but yeah. I mean,
oh, you could print out an entire translation.
Did you do that for the story? You're like, oh, what did he say? Oh, you did. Oh, I never went that far.
I printed out everything with G.
Oh, yeah, you were a little more hardcore than me. All right, so we're getting off the rails in this a little bit, but this is when is this officially coming out?
We don't know yet.
We don't know yet.
They say by summer,
Q2,
I think,
which is now.
Yeah, Q2 for early access, so soon, and then I would assume by Christmas maybe for the final game, or early 2018.
So I will be creating Ian and I in my game, and also Disco Inferno, who was the first one I did in 6-man scramble. I love Disco.
I usually do La Parka first.
Okay.
And then High 69 Hiroki, who goes by I can't remember, but he's in Noah now.
All right. Well, Fire Pro, we never really talked about it before in the podcast. We figured this is a great time. Looking forward to this game. When a new Fire Pro comes out, it's
world ending.
It's like Halley's Comet coming around, because it doesn't happen every year. It happens like every 5 years.